Hello, everyone, and thank you again for joining us today. This is the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jake Latimer. And if you've listened to us before, you know and you realize that what we do and our purpose here is we want to be inspirational for a lot of people out there, people that are looking at potentially becoming an entrepreneur, people that maybe have went down that pathway and maybe have failed in life, or people who are trekking down there right now and just need a little bit of insight. As we always do, we bring on guests on the show. We take a deep dive into their successes and their pitfalls along the way. As such, every person we bring on, we do not pay them. And we have special guests on today with Dean Elliott and Frank Ross. Thank y'all for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Just to confirm, we didn't pay you guys anything? You came on here?
Nope.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure. So
You're good.
Dean, you and I have known each other for 20 years or so. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that.
And over those 20 years, you've been an industry setter in the financial industry. What inspired you to establish Pentangle Wealth over this time?
That's a good question, Jake. What I would say was, as you know, I served in the Marine Corps. And so throughout the Marines, I learned how to build teams together. And so when I wanted to get in this industry, the first thing I wanted to do was build the right team, because you have the right team and your client focus. And if you do that, your team is focused on the client's needs. That's going to be a long life relationship you have with your client.
Very good. Very good. I know recently, and I don't know for how long now, Frank, you joined the team.
Yeah.
Okay. Frank, do you mind sharing your background and why it was so attractive for you to join Dean with Pentangle Wealth?
Yeah. So I know Dean started the business in 96. I started in 98 as an advisor myself. And for family reasons, I moved to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Honolulu, Hawaii, Savannah, Georgia, and then to Texas. And when I moved to Texas, I didn't want to start a practice over again. So I started working for investment firms, advising financial advisors. And that's actually how I met Dean back about 10 years ago. He was actually one of my clients. And it was one of those meetings when we first met. It was about 2 minutes into the conversation. It was like, did we just become best friends, you know? Sure. And we really hit it off. For years, he was trying to get me to join his practice. And it was never the right time. You know, you always have family issues and things like that. But then about 2 years ago, we started sitting down and talking and said, wow, you know, I really want to do this. And it's been the best decision of my life. I enjoy working with Dean so much, and I love our practice and what we do. And I think we're doing it the right way.
I think what you said is very key. And what I want a lot of people, a lot of the end users to understand from this is timing is key, right? Like if things don't line up within the right time period, it typically will just fizzle out. It will not work in entrepreneurship. Number two, you have to have the right people, the right like-minded individuals.
100%.
That someone told me a long time ago, you can have two individuals, whether that be in a marriage or whether it be a business partnership, and you start out at this train track together. Okay. And both of you guys are going north. But if one person's going northwest and the other person's going northeast, and you're not going down the same pathway, at first it's not too bad. But over time, you have all this real estate in between you guys, right? Because you guys are going down a different trajectory. And so I think the thing that makes you guys so special and working so well together, based on the relationships that we have, is the fact that you guys are on the same train, going 100%. In the same direction, the same values, the same morals, and that exudes in everything that you guys do with Pentangle Wealth. I think that's why you guys are so successul today.
And I say it all the time. I would not partner with anybody else in Dean.
I agree.
It would have never happened. So
yeah. No, I think it's key. One of the things we talk about around here, and I know, Frank, we don't know each other as well as Dean and I know each other, but Dean, this is something we talk about quite frequently is faith, right? And how it influences your approach to financial advising and just overall your relationships with clients. Can you elaborate on some of that?
I would say faith, basically, you know, I know Frank would probably want to talk as well, is very important, because when you're working with clients, or you're working with other professionals, it's all around your faith, and it's God-centered. You know, that's how it is with us, because, you know, my wife always say is, I laugh about this, always imagine Jesus between you and the next person.
Yeah.
You know, what would you do with your client if Jesus was there? Would you do what you would do without him there? And so I think faith is really an important aspect when it comes to your business, your personal relationships with your friends, your family, and partners.
Yeah, Frank.
And I think so too. I mean, both of us personally, I live my whole life by the philosophy do unto others, right?
Yeah.
And what I do, and I know Dean is the same way, is we sit down with our clients and find out everything about them. hopes, goals, dreams, their financial goals, everything that they want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And what we do and we think about it is said, okay, if I were them with our knowledge,
Yep.
what would I do in their shoes?
Yep.
And that's how we work with everybody is how would I do it for my mom? How would I do it for myself if I were them? And every one of our clients gets that level of service.
I love that about you guys. And I think that that's why we align so well together as well. And we work so well together. A couple of things that pivot off what Kristen has says. Some of the things that I live by, very similar to Kristen in this regard, when talking about Jesus, I always say, if I'm doing something and I'm wondering, is that what I'm supposed to be doing, whether it be in business, whether it be in my personal life, I always say, would Jesus be proud? Would God be happy with what I'm doing right now? And if I can't have a resounding yes, I shouldn't be doing it. Yeah. The next question is would my family be happy with that? Yeah. Right? And so I think when you always put God and your family first in all of your decisions that you make, you're going down the right path. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that.
Yeah. And so I think that that's so critical that you find people that do put God first, which really transcends into the next thing. It's the people over the prophets. Because if you put the people first, the prophets are always going to come. Right? And unfortunately, so many people try to put the cart before the horse and focus on what I always say, front end money. Yeah. And I can tell you, and I know you guys are this way as well, is throughout your process, right? In your maturation process in business, it's all about the end game and having the relationships and the journey that you take. Yeah. And those individuals, you want to make a difference in their life. And I always say that when I enter this world versus when I exit, can I ask myself, am I going to make this place a better place? Right. And a lot of people look at business and entrepreneurship in the financial industry and they go, well, that's just about money. It's about greed. And it's just not true. If you make it about that, sure it is. Yeah. Right. But because we live on an economic planet, you have the ability to change things in the right manner. And by doing things and being a trendsetter and doing things the right way, you set the landscape for so many other people to follow in your great footsteps. So I'm honored to have you guys on today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Can you provide one specific example now that we're talking about faith that guided a critical business decision that you made?
I think the number one thing that comes to my mind is when I decided to partner with Dean. It was a lot of prayer that went involved with that, right? It was not the best time for me to do this in my life. I was going through a lot of things personally and business-wise that to start over a new practice and to take a step backwards financially, it was not the right time. But when I prayed about it, it was God saying, you know what, this is the right time. You need to do this. This is going to work, and have faith and go ahead and make this jump. Yeah. And I know when Dean and I first talked about it, I told him, I said, listen, I'm jumping out of a plane without a parachute, right? There's no failure. Yeah. Failure is not an option.
I love that.
We cannot do this.
I love that.
And here we go. I look back and it was the best decision I've ever made in my business world by far. So
sometimes when you're making that leap of faith, I don't know if either you guys feel that way. I'm sure you do. Yeah. Is that you got to go all in, right? You got to rip that Band-Aid off. Yeah. Okay. And it's not like, okay, well, I'm going to pull just a little bit. I always say this, whether it be a relationship or a business, if you don't give it your 100% and full commitment, it will absolutely fail at some point. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I listen to all these talking heads out there, and I know people have, your Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V has all this, get your side hustle, this, these certain keywords, right? Man, side hustle is for losers. I'm sorry. Yeah. I hate to say it like that, right? You got to go all in. You got to have the balls to do it. Yeah. Okay. Yep. You got to throw yourself in the deep end and you got to sink or swim. And I know people are going to say, well, that's the worst advice, Jake. It's not the worst advice. That's the best advice. Because when you throw it out there and you have to either succeed or you can't pay your bills, I promise you're going to find a way to succeed. Sure. You're going to learn to be able to persevere, be resilient, and be able to bounce back. Okay. The problem I think in America today, and I think you guys will attest to this, is anytime a lot of people today are dealing with too much adversity, the first thing they do is throw up their hands. Yeah. I can't do that. It's out of my wheelhouse.
They check out.
Yeah. Right? Weak ass mentality. Right? And I think if we can give you guys any nugget, if it's something that you're passionate about, it's something that you want to do, find yourself a mentor. If you want to go into financial advising, I know Dean does a lot of mentoring. Yeah. Frank does as well. find yourself a mentor. Find somebody you can follow. Even if you don't really have a personal relationship, watch their videos, watch their content, see what they're about, follow their footsteps, study that, and then mimic yourself after the individuals that you want to be about.
Yeah, 100%.
But do it.
Yeah.
You know, we unfortunately, we create too many internal roadblocks, I think, along the way. Yeah. And I think we're our biggest critics.
Yeah.
We talk ourselves out of a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably like me now, Dean, after all these years, and I know we've had these conversations.
Yes,
there's nothing that we don't think we can do.
Right.
I agree.
I mean, we started a limo company together back in the day. Do you remember that?
Yes, we did.
MMA. We had an MMA company together. Yeah. I mean, we had back in the day when we had IMKF, we had non-UFC, but we had, for our first show, professional venue, we had the largest venue ever in the state of Texas at that specific time.
Yeah.
Largest people in attendance.
Yeah.
Derek the Black Beast Lewis that fights for the UFC, he fought on our first card.
Wow.
He was never, at that time, he hadn't even been discovered by the UFC.
That's true.
Yeah.
And he tapped Jay Pache out, what, in 43 seconds or something? 6-degree black belt from San Antonio in the first round. Yeah. And I remember good friend Dale Mitchell. You remember Dale Alpha Male Mitchell?
Yes, I do.
And Dale said, hey, I've got Derek the Black Beast Lewis, Jake and Dean. He wants to fight for you. And I said, well, bring him to the photo shoot. And Derek's such a big guy. He's like a soft teddy bear when you get to know him outside. You know,
nice guy.
Super nice guy. I wouldn't want to fight him. Wouldn't want to find him on a dark street, but super nice guy. And he walked in, and he met with you and I there at the photo shoot. And I remember him. He was almost kind of timid and scared to say something to us at first because he was so talented. He just hadn't been discovered. He hadn't been given that right chance. And I said, oh man, you're more scared to talk to me than I am of you. and over time, Derek and I just formed a really good relationship. But, you know, we tackled that venture together.
We did.
You know, we raised capital. We deployed that capital. And we put on 4 professional venues right here in the Woodlands, Texas. And there's so many different things, I think, Dean, that, you know, you and I have went through so much over the years that we just think we can accomplish anything.
I agree with you, especially if you have the same like-minded folks around you.
And that's key, right? You got to have, and that's why you and Frank do so well together. You got to have the same values with everything that you do.
We recently did a Navy SEAL training on teaming, and it really digged into your personal characteristics of your, just your psyche and who you are.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be exactly the same with the people you team with, right?
Yep.
You want different people. And it was funny, we were going through, and Dean's writing down, and I'm writing down things about each other as well. And it was this number one personal attribute. I'm like, driven, It's like there's not a person that's more driven than Dean. When he gets something in his mindset, it's just, this is it. Like, we are going to accomplish this, and it's going to be great. It is laser focused, laser sharp, 100%. So yeah.
It's like the great David Goggins. I'm sure y'all know David Goggins, right?
Yeah.
You got to burn the boats, right?
Yep,
you got to burn. That's it. And so it's true, though, right? Yeah. Failure's not an option. You said that, right? Yeah. Like, you're either going to figure it out, right? And what is that? Dr. Eric Thomas says, you got to want success as much as you want to breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard.
And if you don't want success as much as you want to breathe, you will not be successful.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, it's got to be a priority, right? Yeah. And you have to align yourself with the right people with the right values. Your personal values. How has that shaped your company's culture?
Wow. As you know, I served in the Marine Corps. And in the Marine Corps, there's 14 core leadership traits. And so I'm looking at that. And then if you look at our logo in the middle is a Texas star because we are a Texas-based company.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay. So I took 5 of the 14 core value traits and said, these are our 5 core values of Pentangle Wealth. Knowledge, initiative, integrity, enthusiasm, dependability. Because like you said, building teams, I want to make sure that our values are in line with everything that we do.
Yeah.
And our clients literally become family.
Absolutely.
So our values are very, very important.
It's ironic. I've had a few people on the podcast, and one of the things I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is, the separation between friendship and a business associate or someone that you do business with, one of your clients or your customers, right?
Yes.
I always find that it's easier to establish a business relationship first, and then over time they become a really good friend. It's much more difficult when someone's just a friend to convert them over on the business side.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know why that is, but for people who are skeptics out there, I think it's completely normal. I think it is the right way of doing things when I say that your business clients should become some of your best friends. Yeah. And what I mean by that is it's not to extort them. It's not to take advantage of them. Yeah. It is because you actually care. You actually give a shit. You get to know their families. And so oftentimes, I know myself, I will spend more time with a client than I ever truly even bill. Because I just care and I want to do the right thing by that person. And you start to develop feelings in a relationship and you want to help them.
Well, think about it. Your industry and our industry, very similar. Right?
Yes.
We're talking about people's money.
That's right.
And when it comes down to their money, that's one of the most intimate parts of a relationship, a husband and wife, families, things like that. So when you're helping them with that, and you know everything about them, right? Because if they want to pay the least amount of taxes or retire on time or do those different things, we have to know everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we know everything. I mean, how many of your best, like, I would say, how many of your good friends, not your best friends, but your good friends, know about your financial situation?
A lot. Yeah.
A lot, right? You know, and your best ones know really how good you are.
It's crazy. Years ago, I worked for a CPA firm in the Heights. Okay, this is before I had my practice, and I can tell you that one of the partners there, he pulled me to the side and he said, "Look, Jake, you're a lot like me, and I think that over time, what you're going to learn about this field is that." Instead of being a great accountant, you're going to almost be a trusted advisor in the sense of they're going to come to you with all of their problems. Yeah. You're going to find out about infidelity. You're going to find out about my spouse laid his hands on me or whatever's going on, right? They're overextended on their credit cards and now you got to, they have spending problems. So many different variables that you're not even going to want to know. Yeah. They're just going to come to you about things. And you have to figure out how you're going to navigate and work through that. And I think what I try to do, especially after getting my doctorate in business finance, one of the things that we really push here, and we actually switched our name up from L&Y Tax Advisors to L&Y Business and Tax Advisors, because business is really where our strong suits are and doing a lot of fractional CFO work. Yeah. And for me, it's not just about their bigger accounts. For me, I can change more lives, right? So if I go in there and I do fractional CFO work for some of our clients, I'm able to touch so many different people by making the company much more soluble, increase in margin, which will create more job opportunities, which will help the community. And a lot of people don't look at things like that. And the same thing goes for y'all, right? Y'all take on these accounts, a lot of these accounts from these retirees that they've worked their whole life. Yeah. You have to preserve wealth for them to make sure as they get into their older ages that they have enough money, not just to live off of, but also to pass down to their heirs.
Correct.
And that's an absolute honor that they choose y'all, right? And I think people have to kind of sit back and look at it in that capacity and that humility and be like, this is an honor that they bring problems to us because at the end of the day, we're problem solvers.
Right. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because there's two things that we tell every single prospect, client, the person we talk to. First and foremost, if you really, really think about it, we work for you, so you are our boss.
That's right.
Because they can fire us any day of the week.
Yep.
So that's the first thing we tell them. As a Marine, as we structure our business, and Frank and I, we do not sugarcoat anything. Right. We don't beat around the bush. We basically saying, this is how it is. The second thing that we tell every single person, let's say you're 45 and you're talking to us. I'm looking at you today as if you're 85. That's the person I'm responsible for. Because I don't want you to come at me and say, hey, I'm 7 years old, I ran out of money. How come I ran out of money? I'd be like, well, you took this lavish vacation, you spent money here, there. Well, I'm hired you to help me not do that. And so I had clients that say, I want you to be like my parent. I want you to tell me if I can and can't do it. Yeah. So again, we work for you, and I'm looking at you as if you're 20, 30 years or even longer, because that's the person I want to make sure your money outlast you versus you outlast your money.
And we hit on it just a moment ago before we actually kicked off the interview. We were talking about how there's so much bad advice out there, there's right? Lots of bad advice. Sometimes you just have to be honest with your client and tell them, I understand you saw that on TikTok or you saw that on a YouTube video, you read that shit somewhere. And excuse my French if I use strong language from time to time, but I think it's an element of authenticity that someone knows that you're not bullshitting them. Yeah. And sometimes you have to tell a client bad news. Yeah. No, you cannot afford that. Yeah. We don't need to be spending that. I understand that you worked your ass off and you got from A to B and you feel like you should reward yourself. You can't afford that lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know,
that happens from us from time to time.
Yeah.
A client, bad advice, for example, is they'll get a dollar amount in mind, right? Oh, I got to get to $2 million. And if I get to that number, I feel good. And they'll come in with that amount of money, and you run a financial plan for them and you find out that's not enough, right? You're going to run out. And in their mind, they're like, well, I hit my number. Yeah, but that wasn't the right number, right? And you have to tell them that. And I tell them, I said, this is actually good news, because I'd much rather you tell this to you today,
right,
and say, you know what, we got to work longer, or we got to take out less money, or whatever it is, so that, like Dean said, we don't run out of money at age 85 or whenever you pass away. And you kind of have to twist it to say, listen, that's not necessarily bad news, but honestly, right? Like what do they want to hear? They want to hear, I've done a good job and I've done enough. But
our jobs aren't here to placate them.
Right.
It's ironic. I had a gentleman and his wife come in yesterday, and they were looking at starting a business and this and that and everything else. And I shot them straight, and I said, I'll be honest with you. He goes, well, what can you do to help us? Or can you help us save taxes? I said, I can't help you save anything in taxes.
Yeah.
He goes, what do you mean? I mean, isn't that your job? I said, it is my job if you legally have the ability, you have the right deductions or credits that would apply to you.
Yeah.
You don't qualify.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, so you can't help me? I'm sorry, I can't. Yeah. I said, you get this, they start a new business, and I said, you get this business where it needs to go, it starts to become successful, sure, we can help then. But where you're at right now in this stage, there's nothing I can do. And if anyone tells you they can do something right now, they're just lying to you and taking your money.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry that I've built a very successful practice here, and it's not something that I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
I won't lie to you.
Yeah.
I said, now, run this business for 3 to 6 months. If you've, acquired some success along the way, make another appointment, come back in. I'm happy to sit down with you. Yeah. Not charging you for today, but I'm just being honest with you. I'm letting you know that there's nothing I can do. Sure, if you want to write me a check, you're more than happy to write me a check. But if you think you're going to gain anything of value by writing me a check, you're kidding yourself. Yeah. There's nothing I can do. And there's nothing any other accountant can do right now, too.
Yeah, true.
And the guy looked at me and he said, man, thank you for just being honest with me.
Yeah.
He goes, I'll see you in 6 months because this is going to be successful. I said, well, good. I hope so.
Right.
But you got to use strong language sometimes. You want to get your point across. From time to time, we'll throw out an F-bomb or a strong word here. It's not because we're using it as we have a platform to curse. We want to get a point across. Yeah. We want you to understand our authenticity. We want you to understand that we're not here to placate you. If you're fucking up, we're going to tell you you're fucking up. That's just the reality, right? Yeah. And yes, your accountant, your lawyer, your financial advisor, if they can't use words like that, you might want to question where they're hiding.
Yeah.
I hate to say it like that, right? I know you work with a lot of skilled professionals, whether it be attorneys, accountants, we work together.
Yes.
How crucial has having the right team members that's not necessarily internal with you and Frank, right, and the rest of your team, but your external network? How important is it to have the right professionals in your network?
I think it's very vital part, because if you're portraying yourself like we are as a true financial planning firm, we do more than just asset allocation. We work with top tier accountants. We work with high level estate planning attorneys, insurance specialists, anything in the field that helps us create a well-sounded, financial, tax efficient, legally sound plan. No, we're not CPAs. No, we're not attorneys. But we talk to a lot of people such as yourself, and we know some of the rules. But we tell clients at the end of the day, we're going to help you get to the point where when you talk to your CPA or your legal advisor, we did a lot of work for you, but they're going to fine tune it.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's key here, Dean, is you surround yourself with the right network, and you realize when something's beyond your boundary, something that you cannot do.
Right.
There's so many times people come to us for a multitude of things, and I go, that's out of our wheelhouse. I can't help you here. But I have a contact over here you can sit down with. The good thing is, and I know about our relationship that we have here, is we don't even take a rake. If I refer somebody to you, it's just I'm putting them in the best hands.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks volumes. Not that it's wrong to take a rake. It's wrong to not disclose that you're taking a rake on something.
Right.
Okay? True. And there's so many individuals out there that will take backdoor deals. And for me, I always just say, and you know this, we've been working together for 20 years. I refer somebody to you, you refer somebody to me. We don't We don't refer. There's nothing there. It's just we're putting them in the right hands is what it is.
It is. And I use what Frank usually tells a lot of our clients is, you know what? I want to be your quarterback. Tell me what you need.
Yep.
I know the people I need to send you to. Because, yes, like you mentioned earlier, you can go to TikTok, you can go to internet. You're learning maybe a quarter of what you should know.
That's right.
And so he's like, you know what? Talk to Jake. Talk to other people because they're the ones that expertise in their field.
That's right. Talk about some of these situations where you collaborated with these professionals and how it enhanced. Can you give me some specifics of the situation?
Oh, absolutely. I know a couple years ago, we had a client that wanted to restructure their business because they wanted to sell their business a couple years down the road. And the first thing that I did was ask them, why'd you start your business to begin with? I want to know your value.
Yeah.
I want to know, okay, so now I know your value, why you start your business. It's not as easy as I'm going to sell, I get a check. And so we worked with a couple of estate planning attorneys. We worked with some actual tax legal advice and CPAs like yourself, actually it was you, to figure out what is the best legally sound way to sell this business, minimize the tax. And at the end of the day, we actually exceeded their expectations and they have enough financial wealth for generations because we minimized the tax. We didn't eliminate the tax.
Right.
We did strategies to actually eliminate some of it.
Yeah. It's key making sure that you have the right network and the right partners together because unfortunately, if you don't and you refer someone out, it's a negative reflection on yourself.
That's true.
100%.
It impacts you, you know. And a lot of times, you want to make sure that they understand that, any advice you give them, you always have your best intent, and meaning that you always act as a fiduciary. Yeah. And I think that that's key because at the end of the day, if you look at it from a financial stake all the time, then someone can come in and question, why did you give me this advice? Or why did you do that? And it's always, you're taking a rake. I can tell you so many times in our business that we turn people away because it just doesn't make financial sense for them to do it.
That's true.
Right? And I'll tell them, hey, this isn't going to benefit you, but you can do this. And if you hit this level, then it will benefit you. But right now, you're just not there yet. Yeah. Right? Or sometimes we'll advise a client that has rental properties out there. Right? Yeah. And I'll tell them, you can just roll that up on your Schedule E as your rental and you can own it personally. Well, what happens if one of your tenants slips and falls or catches fire and burns down or whatever? Well, that's what I have insurance for. What if insurance doesn't pay because they found that there was negligence or something that you didn't do for the maintenance side of things? Because insurance is notorious for finding ways out of it, right? Why don't we wrap that up in an LLC so they can't come after your personal assets? Well, Jake, I have 2 or 3 rental properties. Well, let's set up a series LLC. So each rental is a series inside that LLC. So if someone does decide to sue the LLC, they can only go after that specific series, not every other house within that LLC, right? It's having these conversations that don't necessarily generate more revenue for us, but just guide a client in the right pathway.
Yeah. And they see that, and then it builds trust, right? It adds to that relationship.
Yeah.
Or and how many times do we see it? They're in the same pond as somebody else that's doing the same thing.
Yep. And
they're like, hey, I did this. Hey, you need to do this too, right? And then, boom, now you get another client out of the deal. So it's just all doing the right thing, like you said earlier.
I think, and here's where it is sometimes as well, that whatever house or whatever business you're building, I kind of correlate the two together.
Yeah.
You got to build it on a solid foundation from the beginning. Yeah. And you don't know how big this house is or how big this business is going to be. Right? This could be a 1-story, 1,200 square foot house, or this could be a 10,000 square foot house that's 3 or 4 stories, right? Yeah, who knows how big this house or this business is going to be? But if you build it on a shitty foundation, the first time a storm comes through, because I promise you, it ain't if a storm comes through, it's when a storm will come through. Every business, every house has to weather the storms. Yeah. And if you don't build it on a solid foundation, right? I tell you what, all that hard work will go to the wayside. Yeah. And so it's very critical to have the right people on your team that's guiding you. There's a book that came out there years ago, and it was Hire Slow, Fire Fast. And so what that means is do your due diligence on the front end. And it's not necessarily just hiring your employees, right? It's hiring your network of individuals, your extensions as well, right? Make sure you're with the same people with the same values that you guys have, right? Because if you don't and you form a business partnership together with the wrong people or have the wrong network in place, that storm's going to come pushing through, and it's going to blow up your business.
Yeah.
You know?
Very true.
What advice would you give entrepreneurs about building a reliable network of professional partners?
I would say you pretty much nailed it. Go slow. Find the right ones.
Yeah.
Vet them. Talk to them. Find out if their values are very similar to your values. Because think about this. You're sending your client to their office. If their values are not in line with yours,
Yeah.
that's a reflection of you.
It is.
It's like next thing you know, your client's like, who are you really? Should I be really actually working for you now?
Yeah.
And so I would say take your time, vet your people that you're talking to.
Yep.
Ask your clients, who's your advisor, who's your tax advisor, legal advisor. If you get the same name over and over and over, then make yourself the introduction.
Yeah.
Ask other people in that same profession. Hey, do you know such and such? What do you think about them? And then at the end, collaborate all the time. Because as your industry changes, so does ours.
Yeah.
If I don't talk to you, say, hey, Jake, what's going on now with the new tax laws? Because those things affect our business.
Yep.
So, but if your networker referral does not want to collaborate with you, I think you have the wrong one.
You do. Yeah. You do. We live in a society today with AI and technology at our fingertips. And we have this instant gratification or this instant success, right? And we oftentimes, you've seen that picture of the iceberg, right? And you see the ice above the water.
Yeah.
And you don't see what's happened all underneath it, right, to get it to where it is. And just realize that when you're looking for the right network, the right individuals to partner with, you're going to kiss a few toads along the way, right? Yeah. You're going to find some bad actors. You're going to find some bad people that it's just not going to work out. That doesn't have the same vision, the same alignments. Yeah. You have to have your ability to detach from that and move on, right? And not be so hung up on, well, I see this person has success or that person has success. Your peers, like you see them on Instagram or you see them on Facebook, all the social media platforms, and you go, well, they have all this success. It looks like they're hardly never working. Yeah. How come I'm not having this success? I'm doing something wrong. And you probably are doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But people have a hard time, at least I feel like, being honest with yourself that mistake is because of them.
Yeah.
And being able to pull the plug on that deal and pivot and move in a different direction.
Yep.
Well, I don't know any business that it's, a sole proprietorship or you own it yourself, that you can do everything from start to finish by yourself, right? Every industry, you have to work with other people.
You do.
So you build those networks where you really trust that person that you're working with, right? Like they say, like, oh, I like you just said, like we know about the CPA world, right? And the tax world or the estate planning world. And we know that there might be changes.
Yep.
We don't need to know what they are. We just know to get them to the right people in that situation. So
yeah, absolutely. And it does, like you just said, it doesn't have to necessarily be within your organization.
Yeah.
It can just be your network outside.
Yeah.
I think the other thing, and I think the thing that works out so great is you guys will seek out those right partners, right? To make sure that you're acting as a fiduciary in the client's best interest. Yeah. So many individuals, though, go, well, I'm not making $1 off that.
Right.
I don't care. I'll just, go look in the yellow pages or go look on Google, right?
Yeah.
And find 3 or 4 different names and give it to them.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And that's the wrong approach. Because you should spur a relationship with the right people. Because if you always put the client first and do what's right, I promise you it'll come tenfold. How many referrals have you gotten back from existing clients, Dean, over the years?
All the time.
Frank? Yeah.
All the time.
That's
our lifeblood.
Yeah.
We're being humble. We get referrals at least every week.
Yeah.
And it's not because we ask for it, because again, we want to do what's right for the client. And if they come to a friend or coworker that says, man, I'm in this situation, they're like, you know what? I know who you need to talk to because I was in that situation before.
Yeah. I'm going to credit you on something. Years ago when you and I first started working together, Dean, okay?
All right.
There was an email, and I don't know if it's still in your email today, but at the bottom of your email, and I have no problem admitting it was my naiveness and I was in the wrong, but you'd send this email out and I would see it and it says, the greatest compliment you can give me is a referral. Do you remember that? You used to say at the bottom of your emails.
Yep.
And I remember thinking to myself, man, that's kind of ballsy. was kind of pushy a little bit. I kind of thought that, it was my naiveness. I wasn't as seasoned as you were. I wasn't in business as long as you, right? But over time, I can tell you, that's dead on.
Yeah.
That's 100%. The best compliment someone can pay you is giving you a referral, meaning they're willing to speak up on your behalf and go to bat for you. This is the guy you need to be with, or this is the young lady you need to be with in business.
One thing that we learn in our business, and just like your business, your clients do not know if you need more clients.
That's right.
You need clients. So what we always tell our clients, and again, we don't ask for referrals, but we do say, don't keep us a secret.
Yeah.
Because if you know a coworker that needs a second opinion, let us talk to them. Not saying we can help them, they're going to be our client, but I think everyone needs a second, third opinion. If you have a major medical issue, are you going to go by the first advice? Or are you going to get a second opinion?
Yeah.
If it's that drastic, you want a second opinion.
One of the things that I really hated about our firm years ago, and we're doing a better job now, is we would have services that we actually did for clients, right? And they would come in and meet with us, and they go, "Oh, I didn't know you did this."
Yeah.
And I'm looking at who their staff accountant is that's handling their account, and I said, "What do you mean you didn't know we did this? I've been doing this for 16, 17 years."
Yeah.
And you have to, it's not that you're trying to sell, but you have to remove obscurity. You have to let people know what you do, unfortunately. And I think you guys as entrepreneurs out there, I think that that's what you need to do, right? You have to put yourself out there. You have to let your current clients or people that you want to be your clients or potential clients know all the different services. It's not that you're hard selling, but letting them know that you can help them. And why would you not want to help them? Yeah. And if you're a good person and you're qualified and you can do the work, why would they not want to do business with you? They typically do. I'd rather give business to my good friends, that I know is going to do quality work because, and when I say keyword, good friends, right? Not just some acquaintance out there that has take a vested interest in you and what you do.
Yeah. But it's funny you said that about clients that know what you're doing. We actually did a survey a couple of years ago, and we created a piece. Go to your client and say, what all services do you think we do? And I would guarantee you, they're probably going to be like 2 or 3. That's all they're going to say.
That's
in
great.
your mind, and we have over 50 plus services that we can do for our clients.
Sure. They
don't know it. So we create a piece that we show them. Every client we show, these are all the services that we provide. We work with you over the years, we're going to cover every single one of them. And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you did this. I didn't know you did that." Because again, it's our fault as business owners not portraying to the clients what we do.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. I know one of the things that I really like about y'all's firm is the education and personalized support that y'all place upon that. How do you ensure complex financial concepts are accessible to all your clients?
So I think when I look at most financial advisors, I've been in the industry almost 30 years now. And in my prior role where I advised financial advisors, I got to see thousands of practices, tens of thousands of practices. And I would say that most financial advisors spend 50% of their time with their clients or facing their clients, doing things for their clients, and another 50% of their time looking for new clients.
Yep.
Right?
Prospecting.
And it takes a lot of time. Well, like Dean said, we don't have to do that, right? We spend very little of our time looking for new clients because we do get so many referrals, which it gives us more time to spend with our clients. So I think what truly sets us apart is the education that we do for our clients. We sit down, we take much longer with every client. We get to know them in depth. And then once we figure out their financial plan and what they need to do, we educate them on what they're doing so they truly understand it. Do they understand it as well as we do? Absolutely not. But they understand it in a way that they know that it's the right thing for them and they trust it. They know our process. They know everything that we do. And then what happens is they're talking to somebody else someday and they, their best friend or one of the colleagues at work, and they say, "Oh, I'm nervous. I don't know if I'm going to be able to retire. I don't know if I have enough money, or I don't know." As soon as they do, they're like, "Wow, you need to go see Dean and Frank because I feel that."
I think that's so true. I think, and it's funny, I met with a person the other day and they were inquiring about CFO services for their company, and they've done really well. They've grown their company over $20 million a year. And I'm sitting down with the guy and I explained to him, I said, whoever you choose to be your fractional CFO to help take your company to the next level, there needs to be an education piece behind this where they're educating you about the different stages of growth, about what, when you need to get lean, when you need to work on expansions, when you need to leverage a certain way, how to develop business relationships and business banking relationships. There needs to be a time when it's time to work on a tax equalization schedule and make sure we minimize our tax exposure by doing a restructure. There's just so many different variables here. And the person who sets this up and works with you should always be an extension of you, should always be a partner of you, not necessarily a partner in business, but a true partnership in the sense of having your best interest. And they should always educate you. While you might not understand all the nuances of what you're doing, you should have a good feel for why you're doing it. And if the person can't explain why you're doing it, you're with the wrong advisor.
Yeah.
We create a piece, a process. Every client will go through the same process.
Yeah.
Some clients might take longer than others. That's fine.
Yep.
But you need a process because you can't sit there and try to reinvent the wheel every single time.
No.
If you have a piece, a process, you're at this process, this client's at this process, and the team that you put together that works at your firm handles each of those processes together.
And I love that because I've worked with the referral industry for so many years.
Yeah.
And you have a client that says, oh, go speak to Jake or go speak to Dean. That's not a referral. That's a warm lead.
That's it.
Right?
That's right.
A referral is you need to go talk to Dean because he's going to do this, 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 and this for you. And the end result is this.
That's right.
And they understand what they're coming in for. They've been told by somebody to trust, and they're coming in to do that.
Yep.
That's a referral.
And see, I love, you're absolutely right. And I love what you guys just said right there, because the other element to that is you said you spend more time with some people than you do with other people.
Yeah.
And that's so true, right? Because there's that education piece. Some people learn at a different time versus other people.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as, there should not be a such thing as a cookie cutter system.
Oh, right.
One-stop shop. It does. Everybody. Now look, does one person have some of the same needs as another person? Of course.
Right.
But every single person's situation is unique
Yep.
and special, and thus should be treated accordingly.
100%.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so, just like you guys, we're the same way.
Yep.
As we've gotten older and more mature in business, we're just as selective on who we bring on as the client should be selective on who they choose.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay? There's so many clients, like the gentleman yesterday, I turned them away. So come back in 3 to 6 months. We'll see where it's at then. But now it doesn't make sense, right? Because you've got to have this permitted purpose to want to actually do good and really help that individual. And if they're not at a stage where they can take that on, it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
Right? And I know you guys are just like us in this regard. We want to make a difference. More than the money, it's rewarding that you've changed people's lives.
Yeah.
I agree.
And when you have combativeness by a client, or they don't want to listen, or they want to do their own thing, they want to go rogue, it's not a good feel.
You mentioned the word fit. I always tell clients, yes, Mr. Business Client or prospect, you're actually interviewing us. We're actually interviewing you.
That's right.
Interviewing you. What do you mean? Because I want to make sure you're a right fit, not just for our team, but for our clients. Because we do events, about 6 to 8 events a year. Events, what kind of, meaning like we're going to have events, get together at the office. We go to different games together. You're going to mingle with other clients. And if you're not a good fit to be part of our firm,
That's right.
which is our really extension of our family, then we're not going to bring you on board.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned it a lot too. I tell our clients, if you're not 100% convinced that this is the right thing, we don't want you.
That's right.
Because if you're out then talking to somebody and you're like, I don't know. Well, we don't want that, right?
Yeah.
We want you to be like, no, this is the right fit for me. And we have plenty of clients, right? And we always want more, right? I don't think you ever really want to turn business away, but I would rather turn business away from somebody that just, they don't know, they don't understand, or they don't feel right. It's just not what we want.
Yeah.
Because it's that one that comes in and says, yeah, this is it. This is the perfect place. This is a family.
Yep.
This is who's going to take care of us, because they will go out and sing your praises.
That's right. That's right. Can you share a success story by your client-centric approach that you have, and how you guys made a significant impact with them?
Yeah, there was one a couple months ago, actually, where he came in. It was actually a couple, and they were about to sell their business, and they wanted to get the traditional investments, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs.
Sure.
That was it. because that's what they heard everyone else was doing. And so once we came down and looked at their values, what's important about them and their family and their money, and Frank always used the spoke.
Yeah.
What's important about money to you, what's important about this, different areas. We realized, what, the traditional investments is not all what you need. You need other alternative investments. And so we had strategies. We incorporated things that a typical traditional plan does not have. And by doing that, we lessened his risk of anxiety of the markets.
Yep.
We extended his livelihood by having more assets in the long run. And his focus was all about his kids. He wanted to have wealth for his kids. So we built a legacy to provide his generation of income coming in without him stressing over it day to day.
That's a great example of how you customize that for him. And like I say, no two clients are the same.
Right.
And I think that's what sets you guys apart from everybody else. And I think that's why we work so closely with y'all, is that personalized touch, right?
Yeah.
I always like to say professional services with a personal touch.
Yeah.
Like you said, not everyone is a cookie cutter approach.
No.
Unfortunately, in our industry, there's lots of firms that do that.
Yeah.
I know in your industry, the same way.
Absolutely.
It's like, if that's what you want, fine. But here's a question I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
When you put a jigsaw puzzle together, what's the first thing that you do? There's no wrong answer. So it's not a hidden question.
First thing that I do, two things I probably do. First thing, I look at the picture first and foremost, right? I want to understand what I'm doing. And then I start looking at the borders.
Yeah.
Okay. You're probably the only person that we've talked to over the years that actually says, I look at the picture. That's our answer. Your picture is your plan. This is what you want. This is the perfect financial plan. Picture, and the pieces are everything that's involved.
That's right.
Kids, wealth, debt, business. It's everything. So we like to put puzzles together by putting these pieces together to make the perfect plan for you. One of the things that we do is we're actually part of a training program of one of the big Fortune 500 companies in the area. It's in the oil and gas. You won't mention the name. But one of the questions they ask is, you mentioned it about half a dozen times, is, are you a fiduciary? Are you a fiduciary?
Yep.
The answer is yes. I actually got I'm a certified fiduciary, because we actually go to their facility, talk to their new hires about their plan. I'm not trying to sell ourselves. We're telling them and educating them the right way.
That's right.
And so we are fiduciaries, and we use that analogy, is to put the pieces together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's key, is you're always acting on the client's behalf. Even if it makes you more money, less money, whatever the situation is, it's for their benefit. And I think the key thing that I want everyone to understand is, when he said the picture, it's the vision.
Yeah.
Your vision as their financial advisor has to line up with the client's vision as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, right, same analogy as that train. If it doesn't, you have all this real estate in between. You're never going to get to the end point where you want to be.
Yeah.
So it's really key, it's really critical to find the right financial advisor. If you're looking for a financial advisor, Frank and Dean are the individuals I recommend you reach out to. No, we don't take a rake, but just it's a relationship that we've built for over 20 years. And I've seen how you guys have conducted business over this time. And, I'm honored to have you as a business partner, both of y'all. I'm honored to have you on the show today.
Thank you very much.
And, and I think the audience knows, if I'm going to prop somebody up, it's because I feel very true about their value and what they bring to the table, and that they are an expert in their field. Look, you don't have to take my advice, but just understand that there's, like I said, there's no rake, there's no monetary benefit that I gain from propping you up. I could have stayed silent, correct?
Yeah.
I agree.
But make sure you connect yourself with the right people, the right network, and find someone to mentor yourself after as well.
Yeah.
Client needs, they're always adapting, they're always changing. How do you evolve with your client needs? Because today's picture that they presented to you, right, might be different than 10 years from now.
Yeah. So I think, our industry is really organic.
Yeah.
Right. And I look back when I started in 98 compared to what the industry looks like today.
Yeah.
It's completely different. Right. But then just think of this year alone. Right. We've had and I would say the last 1 year, we've had an election, we've had, a tariff situation, we have changes in the markets, ups and downs, right? Peaks and valleys. And the industry and the markets are constantly changing. So we said it earlier, but we have to surround yourself with people that you trust, but then also people that can bring you knowledge as well.
That's right.
Because, we're here on the podcast today, normally to be sitting in front of a client having these conversations. We're not just sitting in front of our clients or our computers doing research nonstop.
Right.
So we have to be able to have a trusted resource to go to say, hey, what's going on? What do I need to know? I don't want to look through 2, 3, 4 hours worth of research and information. I'm going to come to you. Give me 15 minutes of information so I don't have to do that.
Got to be efficient.
Exactly. Right. So we surround ourselves with partners that can do that for us, that keep us updated constantly. So then when it does come to our clients, that we hey, I know what's happening. I know how those changes are happening. Here's what direction we need to go to now.
Yep. No, that's key. And if you don't have the right partners, you're not going to have that right network. You can't provide the best value for your clients.
Right.
The reality is, and what everyone needs to understand, is no one person is going to have all the answers to everything.
Right.
It's just not possible.
Not possible.
I'll have clients come in and ask me about XYZ question, and I go, that's way out of my wheelhouse. I don't know how the taxes are in Brazil. I don't know. I've never been to Brazil. There are so many different things that you have to be able to pivot from and say, you know what, I can't help you in this regard, but I'm going to put you with this international tax planning firm, and they can help you with that. That's what their specialty is.
One thing you told me over the years is, this is what you told me, I don't want to be a journalist. No, I want to be a specialist.
That's right.
And so if you want to be successful, you want to get specialists in your area.
That's right.
That's kind of what we thrive on ourselves, is we want to find specialists in every industry. We might use them, might not, but at least we know who they are.
That's right. What significant challenges have you faced in the financial industry, and how'd you overcome this?
I think back, and it's funny you asked that question. I think back to high school days. Right?
Yeah.
I played soccer, and I was pretty good. And I heard an analogy, and I'm sure a lot of us has heard it, but it was Wayne Gretzky.
Okay.
And they asked Wayne Gretzky, how do you seem like you're always in the right place in the right time. And what did he say? He said, I skate to where the puck is going to be, not where it is right now.
That's right.
Right? So you're always forward thinking to say, where is the industry going? Right? What are the new things?
Yep.
And I started in 98, and I remember it was all about the tech bubble and .com stocks and basically everybody in our industry was a stockbroker.
Yeah.
Right? Make me more money. Right? And I changed my mindset, and Dean's heard me talk about this a million times, but everybody's going to see advisor because they wanted more. Right? If you had $1 million today and you don't know that's enough, what do you want? I want more. If you're getting 8% return on your money, you don't know it's enough. What do you want?
10 or
more,
12.
right?
Yep.
Always more, right?
Yep.
But I thought, man, this is there's no goalpost, there's no end result. This isn't the right way to do it. So I got into financial planning back in 1998 and said and came up with this sentence, but it's in the absence of knowing how much enough is, more is always better. So I became the enough guy. I didn't care about more anymore.
Yeah.
I wanted to see, is that million enough? And if it is, and 6% returns enough, then why are you trying to get 8, 9, 10? Why are you trying to get 2? This is enough. You're going to take undue risk to do that. So since the beginning of my career, I've always said, what's next? What's the next part of the industry we want to do? And we're doing that now, right? The industry, has really evolved. It was A-share mutual funds. Now it's fee-based financial planning. It's all these different things. And we're always trying to be on that cutting edge for our clients.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I want to back up just a little bit. You talked about, you being a Marine and a lot of stuff y'all working on with the Navy SEAL stuff and everything. I know that, where we grew up, the adversity we had to come through in life has really molded every single person today, right? And has shaped us, right? It impacts, and like you say, the values that you have from the Marines, you bring onto y'all's firm, right?
Absolutely.
And so what I want everyone to know, and I want you to share something with everybody, because I want to get a little humility right now.
All right.
Guys, okay.
Jake.
You had y'all have had a lot of success, but what I want people to understand is you started from ground zero at one point in time.
Yes.
You've had doors slammed in your face.
Absolutely.
You've been told no. There's been times where things have been difficult. You didn't think you were going to be able to push through it.
Yeah.
Okay? Can you give me some example or an example of a situation where something like that happened, that you started to question the pathway you were going on, and how you were able to pull through that?
Several years ago, there was a situation where I needed to either focus on the path I was going on in business or break away and go a different direction. And I reached out to you, I reached out to Frank, a couple other people.
Yeah.
And I remember what y'all said is, what do you want? What's your core value? What do you want to, what's your dream? And what your focus is on your firm? And so it was tough. It was tough to break away.
Yeah.
And I took my staff and everything, and we sat down and talked about it. And I realized that once, as Frank said, I'm jumping out of an airplane, no parachute.
Yeah.
If I go down this path, there is no, let's take a round trip and go back.
Yeah.
And so it was scary.
Yeah.
I slept very little at night because I was like, am I making the right decision? And ultimately, it came out great. But during the midst of it, I talked to you almost every day saying,
You did.
Are you sure this is what I need to do? Because this is not feeling good. But I didn't see through, as some people say, the darkness. The darkness was the unsureness.
Yeah.
I want to say, is it going to get better?
You didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel at first.
I didn't. And it's not because it was all negative. It was just like, there were so many moving parts.
Yeah.
So many moving parts. But at the end of the tunnel was where we're at now.
Yeah.
It was well worth it, the sleepless nights and the headaches, but it was well worth it.
And
because I had mentors around me.
And we had seriously started talking about me joining with Dean before that.
Right.
And I'll never forget the conversation that we had. It was, and I use this word not lightly. It was a very intimate conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it was here's everything. And it was that conversation that when we got done, I was like, this is it. This is the time. It's the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it's the wrong time, it's the right time for both of us.
Yeah.
And I want to be part of that. It was 100%. I was like, I can't let my man go down in this path by himself.
Yep.
I want to be part of that path, and I want to be part of that success, and I want to be part of that team.
Yep.
And I look at us today, and man, I just couldn't imagine a better situation. So
I think we all had the same vision. That's what it was.
Yeah. And I think the reason I wanted to push on that humility and that's those scary times you guys went through was because everyone who goes down the pathways of entrepreneurship, it's a lonely fucking road.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that.
Yeah.
You are on a fucking island a lot of times by yourself. Dean, you and I have had so many conversations over the years, right?
Absolutely.
About entrepreneurship and successes and the pitfalls and all the hurdles we have to overcome. And that's why I say find you a mentor, someone you can talk to, because more than likely, your spouse ain't going to get it. A lot of your friends ain't going to get it.
Yeah.
You can't really go bitch to your clients or complain to them, right?
Yeah.
All the shit you have to push through, right?
Right.
And it is a lonely, lonely road.
And most of the time, you'll talk yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, you shouldn't have talked yourself out of it.
Yeah.
And when you're the primary breadwinner of your family, it's not just you're supporting and taking care of. You're taking care of your whole family.
Yeah.
And when you guys are partners in the firm, right? You have staff members that you have to pay to make sure that you're paying their salary to go with it.
Yeah, it's a lot on your shoulders.
You have a lot of families you're taking on as an entrepreneur.
It's true.
Okay? The analogy I always say is the difference between an employer versus an employee is an employee might work their ass off for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours. And an employer sometimes works hard, sometimes doesn't work hard. But they never shut off. It's the difference between a server and a computer.
Right.
I always say it's the difference between a job and a career.
That's right.
You know, if you work a job and you punch that time clock, right? And us aging ourselves with that, we were back in the day when you did that. But you know, when you start, you get into your job mode, and when you end, you're done, and you go home with your family and things like that.
That's right.
We never shut down.
No.
We never shut down. You know, a news story will come up on TV, and this does drive my wife a little crazy sometimes. But all of a sudden, boom! I'm watching the TV, And she's like, hey, pay attention. And I'm like, wait, I need to know this because this might be affecting our clients. And I was like, I'm not that I'm ignoring you, but this is important, right? So I need to know it.
Yeah, things pop in my head all the time, and I'll be talking to my wife or spending time with the kids, and with my ADD, which I kind of think is a drawback, but is also a superpower in a sense, right?
Right.
And so I'll pick up my phone, and my wife will be like, "What are you doing on your phone right now? I was talking to you." I said, "An idea just popped in my head. I need to put it in my notes section, so I can revisit it, because I'll forget."
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and that's something that no matter if you're on vacation, no matter where you're at, like your brain never shuts off because you make it a priority. And it's hard for a lot of people that don't make entrepreneurship a priority to understand what you go through.
Yeah. I love that you just said that with vacation. And I look at it, Dean got to go on an amazing vacation with his family last year. And because of our partnership, he actually got to relax for the first time on vacation in a long time. And it was so hard to get him to not do that, you know, like, and I'm like, bet I got this, right? I have it, you know, you got it. And he got to relax. And I was proud of that. Yeah. You know, I was proud. I was like, one of my best friends in the entire world who I love this man so much, got to enjoy a vacation truly for the first time in a long time. And now he knows that, hey man, the next one's going to be great. Next one's going to be great because of that. So
I love that. How do you, we talked about it a little bit, but how do you stay ahead of industry trends and then continue to grow professionally?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just constantly thinking of what's the next thing.
Yeah.
Right. And being better, right? Yeah. Like, I think so many people, I played a lot of sports in my life. My kids have played a lot of sports. Mm-hmm. And there's a Vince Lombardi saying, but it's not practice makes perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect.
That's right. That's right.
And then we added something to that where it's you practice something over and over again until you can do it right. But then you keep practicing it over and over again until you can't do it wrong.
That's right.
Right? And that's the thing. So it's always like, hey, what's next?
Yeah.
And it's always going to change and adapt. So,
there was this, and I don't know if y'all are a basketball fan, but years ago, there's that guy that had Tourette's syndrome, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
Oh,
okay, he used to play for the Denver Nuggets back in the day.
Yep.
And so imagine someone with Tourette's, right? They have like this little glitch to them, you know, these little issues. But he also had a form of OCD, okay? And he was a phenomenal shooter, a little undersized, probably more of a two-guard and a point guard body, okay? But was a tremendous shooter, and he worked on his craft. Every game after practice, or every game after practice, I said that wrong. Every practice, at the end of every practice, he would go to the free throw line after already practicing with his team, and he had to make 100 shots in a row. 100 in a row before he would go to the locker room and clean up. And if he missed one, he would have to start all over again.
Wow.
Now think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Right? That's some serious shit right there.
Yeah.
And this is a guy, right, that had Tourette's syndrome, had OCD, was undersized, with any, you know, minor brain power, anyone would say, this guy is never going to be successful as an NBA player. And he was an all-star.
Yeah.
Okay? But he was so committed to hearing that swish every time, the way it would hit that net, that for several years he was the leading free throw shooter in the NBA.
Yeah.
And he would shoot 98, 99% for the whole year.
Yeah.
You don't hear guys today shoot 98, 99%.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, we do these little things at our firm, and we call them spark sessions in the morning. And we were doing one this morning. And every different spark session, whether you want to cite biblical sayings or you want to just make it, you know, non-Christian based and just whatever. But we have a certain word that we use. And one of the words we used was gratitude. One of the words we used was resilient or perseverance. And when you see people complain today, throwing their hands up when they deal with any adversity, I mean, that's some weak ass shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
You see a guy that has Tourette's syndrome, that has OCD, that shouldn't have even made the NBA.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was undersized to go with it. Became one of the greatest free throw shooters of all time.
Yeah.
And you see this adversity that so many individuals go through all through life. And if they can be successful, so can you.
Yeah.
Right? It's if you have the resilience, the perseverance to push through, and you have to make it a priority. And I think we have to put things in perspective oftentimes.
Yeah. 100%.
That's one of the things that we do at our firm. We talk about we want to be very proactive.
Yeah.
And because two things drives the market, fear and greed.
Yeah.
Fear is always going to keep dropping. I got to get out. Or greed, I'm going to get the next dollar. I'm going to get the next dollar. Take emotions out. Create a plan, a strategy. Be proactive. And that's what we do. You have to be proactive.
You got to remove emotion.
Yeah.
You have to.
You have to. And people have a hard time disconnecting. But you also exert so much energy, such negative energy that's exhausting that you can't even think properly. Yeah. You got to remove yourself.
And you're constantly inundated by the media.
Yes.
Right? Like, I remember it was back in the day, it was one of the financial firms that had a really good piece. And it was the front page of a newspaper.
Yeah.
And I think it was the LA Times or the San Francisco Chronicle, whatever it was. And it was like, Dow plunges 500 points, whatever it was. Right?
Yeah.
And on the other side, it said, Dow surges so many points, right? And you look at that and you're constantly being bombarded by surge, plunge, right?
That's right.
But the funny part about that piece was when you looked at both sides of that newspaper, it was the morning newspaper and then the afternoon paper of the same day.
Wow.
Right.
And the psychology
so
of that.
It was yesterday it surged and today it plunged. And I mean, it's the same day, you know? So I mean, it's constantly bombarded by that.
You got to be careful about getting caught up in that.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, and the analogy that I use there, right, is that if you were to get onto an elevator, right, and you go down to a building downtown here in Houston and there's 30 floors, right? And you get into that elevator, instead of 30 buttons on there, there's just 2 buttons, surge and plunge. Which one are you going to hit?
That's right.
I'm probably taking the stairs, right? Like, I don't want either one of those.
Absolutely.
And that's what our clients see. So now we have to do the education. We have to be there for them to help them avoid that situation and tell them, stop watching TV.
Yeah, makes sense. What's y'all's aspirations for Pentangle Wealth?
That's a good question. We want to basically set ourselves apart from the other firms in the area because we want to focus on the clients. Like Frank said, that's our aspiration. That's our focus. Is I got in the business to help people. Period. I wanted to help people to understand the financial world, not to the point where they're going to replace me, but to the point where they know that they're financially sound at some point in life. And Frank, he says every person that comes through our door needs a financial plan. Every person, regardless if they're starting off or a person who's fixing to retire, because you need to know the end result.
That's right.
And you look at that, and we want to be known as the go-to place that if I go and see Frank and Dean, I know I'm going to be okay. Or I'm going to find out what I need to do to be okay. If you're looking for an advisor that says, I'm going to try to beat the market, or I'm going to make you the most money possible, that's not what our focus is. Yeah. Right? Because we said, is it enough or is it not enough? We're going to figure out how much is enough for you. Right. And we want to be known as that's the people that I need to go if I want that.
You want to provide your client realistic outcomes,
100%.
Right? First thing Rick and I are red flags go when someone comes in and goes, a client comes in, they go, well, I don't want to pay anything in taxes. Did I come to the right spot? I don't want to pay any taxes like Trump.
Yeah.
And I go, this is not a good fit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's how you're starting off, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
But you'd be surprised people that they hear this shit on the news, right? Trump didn't pay anything in taxes. Your situation, you're not Donald Trump. You're not the president. You're not the successful entrepreneur who became a billionaire over that time frame.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's so great with you guys is y'all take a very holistic approach and view every client that comes in as individuals and not just someone who will buy a product, but something that you can create for them that will impact their life through all the different stages. I think that's what sets you all apart.
Yeah.
One thing that sets us apart is we just don't take every client.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like Frank says, because some clients, they want to dibble dabble in cryptocurrency or they want the high risk of. That's not a good fit for us. So we are selective who we pick. And we only pick so many per year.
Yep.
Not because we're at that point where we don't want any more clients. It's because we know how much time we can devote towards you. And if we want to bring more clients on, that means we're going to give less time to you, which is not what we want.
That's right. How do y'all balance your professional responsibilities with your personal life and your faith commitments?
That's so important. right? Because we both have families and kids and a career that we said this is ours, right? So we love it. And we just mentioned it earlier that you're always on, right?
That's right.
And what I try to do personally is when I'm working, I try to be 100% committed to that. And when I'm fathering or husbanding or whatever it is I'm doing, I try to put 100% into that. And does it always work? No. And I'll tell you an honest to God example. Last night it didn't. You know, I picked my son up. I was able to pick my son up from school, which, you know, we have the ability to do those sometimes. And he asked me, he wanted to play a game with me.
Yeah.
And in the way home, Dad, can we do this? And I said, you know, buddy, I said, we can do that. But on the way, when I get home, I have a couple things that I need to do before we do that. And he was like, okay, you know, no problem. And he, you know, he's 12, almost 13. So
Sure.
he's, okay, Dad. And you know what, man, that work just did not end. Something popped up and a client called and then another client called and then something happened and then had to get dinner ready and dinner got ready and then, you know, getting the young guy into bed, and next thing I knew it was 9:00.
Yep.
And I went into my son's room and he goes, Dad, you know, he's like, you know, I know we didn't get to play that game today, but, you know, maybe tomorrow. And I was like, you know, but I'm so sorry. And he goes, it's okay. And I said, no. I said, you know, work got in the way. And he goes, Dad, it's work. It's fine. It's okay. And I said, no, it's not.
Yep.
It's not okay. And I said, I apologize for that. And I said, let's take a look at it right now.
Yeah.
Now, I hadn't even eaten yet, right? The kids had eaten. My wife had eaten. I hadn't even eaten yet.
Yeah.
But I said, you know what? I'm being dad right now. And I put 100% into that. And then I promised him too, we'd spend even more time today.
Yeah.
But it's just, you got to do it and have that faith too, right? Because you got to take that time to get your prayer in, to get your family time in, to get the business in. And it's a tough balance. But if you don't commit 100% to it, I think you're failing. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
So even though we can't give 100% of the time, it's when I'm doing it, I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, look, no matter what you choose in life, I don't care if it's working out, I don't care if it's going to church, I don't care if it's spending time with the family, you know, work, whatever it is, right? The excuse I hear a lot of people say is, I don't have the time.
Yeah.
That is the most lame excuse out there. I don't have the time. Okay. Everyone has the time to work their job. Mm-hmm. Everyone has the time to spend time with their family. Everyone has the time to, you know, go to church or spend time praying, right? Because sometimes you could watch your church service on the TV, just the same, right? You have to learn to prioritize things. And you have to find pockets and windows of the time that you waste.
Yeah.
When I was going to school for my doctorate, we did a study where for 6 weeks straight, we had to record our time in Excel every single day. Every tab was a new day with what we did in 15-minute increments while we were awake.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you would be surprised on how many pockets of windows, an hour here, an hour there, right, that I was watching TV or wasn't doing. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And yet, then I would get to the end of the week, and I had, you know, papers that were due. I had studies that had to be conducted, and I was scrounging for time. And I go, I just didn't have time this week.
Yeah.
And then you go back and you reflect at all those 15-minute, 30-minute, hour windows that you wasted.
Yeah.
Right? And then, if you're honest with yourself, you absolutely did have the time.
Yeah. Well, I think back, and it's funny because how my ADHD mind works too, right? But there's a very famous quote, I'm sure all of you have heard it, but in my mind, I see the Snoopy cartoon with Charlie Brown, the back of Charlie Brown and the back of Snoopy just looking up into the sky, and Charlie Brown looking at Snoopy saying, well, you know, you only live once. And Snoopy looking back saying, no, you only die once, but you get to live every day.
I love that.
And, you know, we think about it, and it's like, man, it's like, you have all the time. You have 24 hours in a day. Yep. And let's say you sleep for eight of those hours, which I know neither one of us sleep for 8 hours in a day. But, you know, let's say you have 16 hours. You have 16 hours of your day every day.
That's right.
And you don't want to waste that, right?
Yep.
Any minute of it. And any minute that is wasted, you're just throwing it away.
That's right.
And it's a gift from God, right? So we got to enjoy it.
What activities do you guys do to stay well balanced and motivated?
Well, I'll try to at least go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And one of the team members in our team, we work out together. As they say, what iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
So we sit there, we talk about business ideas, we push each other. And another workout buddy of mine, he's also a Marine. And of course, if you work out with Marines, they have to push you to the limit to you not want to like this anymore.
Sure.
So, and I always joke around with Frank because he and I did a couple of like Go Rucks and Tough Mudders. You know, those were my fun events. He thinks that's funny to say it's fun. But I like
His idea of fun and my idea of
yeah, I
fun.
like to push myself. I mean, in 2016, I did the world's toughest mudder.
Yeah.
It's 24 hours long. I did over 40 miles. I pushed myself to the point where I know I couldn't do anymore.
Yeah.
And that was me. That was my personal inflection of how far can I go.
Yeah.
Why do I do these activities? Because it helps me de-stress my mind.
It does.
Helps me stay focused on what is my ultimate goal.
Yep.
And by doing that, people, you know, the drinking or smoking, or doing activities that affects them and their family. And I always joke around. I'd rather go to the gym and throw weights around, not physically.
I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Throw weights around, than go to bars and get in fistfights.
Yeah.
Because it helps me sharpen myself.
Absolutely. If there's someone that's a youth and they're wanting to get in your industry, what advice would either one of you guys give that individual?
I'll answer this one. I'll let you answer. My focus is this. This is what I tell everybody. Whatever you want to do in life, find someone who's already doing it. Yeah. A true mentor would tell you the steps he or she took.
That's right.
They're not going to ask for any money out of it.
That's right.
Because I see that they went through the trenches that you're fixing to go through.
Yeah.
They're going to say, you know what? Don't go through that path. Go through this path.
Yeah.
And I use the Marine Corps as an example. I have 2 sergeants as of today. We're still good friends. They're my clients. But when I was fresh out of boot camp, they're my sergeants. I relied on them because they were already in for years. You know, what should I do, not do? So yeah, they kind of, you know, I was wet behind the ears, took me under their wing. But I took that experience and say, you know what? Anyone who asks me, hey, how did you become so successful? I'll tell you what I did. I'll tell you what not to do because it didn't work for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So definitely find mentors.
And I think that's the perfect answer. And there's nothing I can expand on that except for then surround yourself. Like, so finding those mentors of the people that have been successful.
That's right.
And surrounding yourself with people that make you want to be a better person.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I know when my tough times hit or, you know, I get down on myself and the woe is me, because I think we all do that.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Is that, I'm this guy's partner, right? Like I can't be down today. Like because that's going to make him look bad or bring him down.
Yeah.
And being around people that constantly make me want to be a better man, better husband, better advisor, better whatever it is, it helps drive you.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're the best and you surround yourself with people that are less than you, where's your motivation?
Yeah. I mean, iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
And I always say this, and it's an analogy I even tell my daughter, and I'm telling Luca now as my stepson. And I say, you're the 5 people you hang out with the most.
Yeah.
You better choose them wisely.
Yeah.
Right? Because you hang with shit, you're going to get shit on you. That's what my dad used to tell me back in the day. Yeah. Even if you're trying not to, right? So you need to make sure that the people you surround yourself are of the highest integrity, the highest character, trying to do the right thing, and will support you in your vision and your goals, and you'll do the same for them.
Yeah. I say this a lot. My wife's heard me say it a million times, but I have a theory of gravity. And people say that, you know, I'll say that to somebody. And I say that when it comes to people, right? Good people gravitate towards good people.
That's right.
Bad people gravitate towards bad people. And you look at bad people in the world, who do they hang around with?
That's right.
Oh, they're bad people because it sucks them in, right?
Birds of a common flock together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have been together for about 4 years now, and we have gone on countless vacations. And every single one we've gone on, we meet the best people.
Yeah.
And I had somebody ask me, it was at our wedding, and we had all these people from across the world come to our wedding and be like, well, where'd you meet them? Oh, we met them in Jamaica. We met them in Cancun. We met them here, we met them there. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
I says, gravity. Because we're good people.
That's
and
right.
it just sucks you into other good people, and we meet them and you're like, wow, I met this person on vacation in Cancun, but they're in your wedding? Yeah. They are, because they're some of the best people in the world. So I think, and I truly believe in that 100%.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on the show today, but I want to ask you one last question, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
If you could give any person out there any advice about entrepreneurship, not necessarily just in financial advising, give me 3 words. I know I didn't ask these questions ahead of time. Give me 3 words, and then talk a little bit about each word and why those are the 3 most important words for entrepreneurship.
Ooh.
That's a tough
How about I'll pick one.
There you go.
Passion.
1, 2, 3.
Passion.
Passion.
Focus.
You have to have a passion for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I know we've heard this, and I think it's a Mark Twain quote, but if you find a career or something you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
That's right.
I mean, having that passion for
Yeah.
if you truly love what you're gonna do, you're gonna enjoy it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I would say vision. If you have a passion to do something, what's the vision look like?
Yep.
Because once you have that vision, the other sides are not going to matter, and because you have a laser sharp focus on the vision where you want to go to, and the other things aren't going to steer you away from that.
Yep.
How about tenacity? Never give up.
Oh,
That's right.
Never give up.
That's right.
And because it's not, you said it earlier, it's not a straight line up.
That's right.
There's gonna be blowups. There's gonna be storms. There's gonna be no's. There's gonna be doors slamming in your face.
That's right.
You just gotta drive and don't give up. So
That's right.
yeah.
I'm gonna end it with one other word that I always say, and I always use this because I read a lot of different motivational quotes and watch a lot of motivational stuff. But one of the things that I tell you that is more important than motivation is discipline.
Well, like that.
You've got to be able to get up when you don't want to get up.
Yeah.
You got to be able to, if it's cold outside and it's rainy outside, and you've got to put in 3, 4, 5 miles, right?
Yeah.
You got to get your ass up in the morning when you could sleep in warm in bed next to your wife,
Yeah.
cuddled up, get up, everybody else is sleeping. Go outside, get in the snow, the rain, the sleet, whatever it is, and push through those 3, 4, 5 miles, whatever you got to put in for that day, when no one's watching,
Yeah.
when no one's praising you,
Yeah.
right? We live in a society today where it's an instant gratification. Everybody wants to post that they've done this on social media or they've done that and they've got their likes or their hearts or all this stupid shit that doesn't mean anything. You got to be willing to put in the work 7 days a week, disciplined when no one is watching, when things are at its lowest, and sometimes even when things are at its highest.
Yeah.
Because when things are at its highest, it's very easy to get complacent.
Yeah.
And so your mindset must shift. So anyways, great topics. Thank you guys once again for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having us. We
Yeah.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
I think you guys provided a lot of insightful information. Hopefully you guys were able to put forth the message you wanted to, not just towards entrepreneurship, but about your firm. I can't praise you guys enough.
Thank you.
Pentangle Wealth is where you need to be if you're looking for a financial advisor. Highly recommend Frank Ross and Dean Elliott. Been doing business with them and gained the utmost respect and the greatest of friendships of the last 20 years.
Thank you.
And so, they get my vote of confidence here. Thank you once again, everybody, for watching into the Entrepreneurial Blueprint podcast. I'm Dr. Jake Latimer, and we'll see you next week.